G'day, Craig Hadfield, Ray White, South Coast.
Glenn Brandon, how you going?
Look, we thought we'd take a slightly different path with our Fast Friday today and just talk a little bit more in depth around the last financial year. Happy New Year to you all.
Happy new financial year.
It's certainly been an interesting journey over the last financial year, Glenn, and because at the end of the previous year, we come out of the elections.
We did.
Let's just quickly go back to, the first 6 months of last year. Talk to us a little bit about that. We probably talked about recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. Recovery was a real common theme across our marketplace. And what happened was straight after the election, it was actually in June of last year, interest rates were cut. And again in July, then again in October, which really started to drive people's confidence and eagerness to go back out and start spending money. That was before we knew what was going to happen. And then what we saw right through the springtime of last year, really rapid price growth again. And again, even through into the new year, the new calendar year, it was continuing the same.
So there was a lot of commentary around how markets recover, and certainly in my 20 years, it was the fastest recovery that I've ever seen. So they were talking about this J-curve versus a slow incline.
Absolutely.
So realistically, by the time we got to the Christmas period, things were cranking.
Things were looking really good, and even the first quarter of this year, and we have reported to you how strong the sales had been through the COVID period, but if we look at recovery, so through the last financial year compared to the year before, Nowra sale price was up 20% compared to the last financial year. Nowra Hill up 10%, South Nowra up almost 20%, and Warragee up 5%. Berry did come back about 10%, coming off a higher price there, so sort of evening out, and then our coastal markets have performed quite well as well.
Absolutely, and I think it's an interesting conversation because when you and I talk to people out in the marketplace, they're genuinely shocked when we tell them how strong the market is, considering we've been through the fires, floods, this pandemic, but there's some significant anecdotal evidence now about what's happening in these regional areas. And
absolutely.
Coming out of Sydney.
Look, I think the best anecdotal evidence is that our office has sold, I think, 15 blocks of land in the last 3 weeks, and we haven't sold a block of land for the year to date, really. So that tells us that prices, certainly in those new suburbs like South Nowra and Warragee, the existing house prices has risen so much that it's become good value to build again where it hadn't been for a little while, and that's certainly good signs for all property holders, not just the people out there.
And that's been the case over in Berry, where we've got the Huntingdale Estate, and talking to other developers around the area. All land has had a kick on. Sure, there's probably been a little bit of that stimulus that's probably helped us along, but certainly in the last few weeks, land has been a real standout. The other thing that is interesting as well, Glenn, and you've been involved in a lot of these sales, is you do $1 million sale maybe here or there. Call it circa 900, call it 1.2. There's a lot of activity in that market.
Look, there really is more than in my time here at Ray White. Obviously, the rising market has accounted for that, but people coming from out of town with serious amounts of money to spend and happy to spend it without batting an eyelid. $1 million just rolls off the tongue quite easily now, which I never would have thought would happen in Shoalhaven real estate, but it certainly does happen, and it's as high paced as our $200,000 sales.
Yeah, absolutely. I was out doing a couple of open houses on the weekend, and just at those 2 open houses, there was 3 buyers there who had made the decision to move out of Sydney. One was from the Western Sydney area, and the others were for the inner west. And they had made the decision they're coming south. And there's a lot of evidence now coming out of Ray White head office that is basically supporting what's happening here, that if you're within a 2-hour radius or 2-hour drive out of the Sydney metropolitan area, these regional towns are actually really going strong. And we're seeing that on the ground. And I don't know about you, but there's no signs of that slowing down.
No signs of slowdown yet, and I would expect the market conditions will remain strong for the foreseeable future, really. We're getting closer to Sydney. I speak to a lot of people that are waiting till call it the freeway, till the highway upgrade is finished to Bomaderry. They'll look to trade then. There'll be a deeper pool of buyers coming. Certainly, Wollongong's a big market for us now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, internally in our business, looking year on year, the volume of sales are up slightly on the financial year, but the dollar value is up significantly more.
Yeah.
So that also goes to the increase of what you're talking about, the increase of the value of the homes.
Yep.
So with roughly the same volume coming through the market, there's been probably about a 10 to 12% uptake in dollar value. So that's also part of this driving economy, more sales, etc. The other part of that also is that we're getting evidence out of head office once again that their stock still remains very low. Us internally here are really struggling to get enough supply out to the buyers.
Absolutely, yep. The more listings we could get, the better, really. But the more opportunities that are around for sellers.
Yeah.
Until the market really balances out, it will remain certainly in a seller's favour.
Yeah. So I guess the final question is, and it's the question always on most people's minds when they're coming to sell their home or buy. And this was put to me once again recently by a buyer. Should I wait? There's certainly concerns about, rough waters ahead.
Yep.
We don't know what's going to happen towards the back end of the year. There's a lot going to change. Job seeker, job keeper,
Yep.
job maker, I've got my own views, but what are you telling clients that are either selling or buying?
Yep.
What should they be doing?
Look, I just had a conversation with a solicitor this morning. If we think I think it was 13 weeks ago that the country went into lockdown, how long ago and how different the world seemed back then to now. And normally 3 months is not a very long stretch of time. But people have confidence. Anyone with any kind of job security is happy to transact. But I just always encourage clients, whether they're buying or selling, to buy based on their own circumstances. Don't try and predict the future. Don't try and have a crystal ball, because if you're waiting for prices to go down, you'll be waiting. And if you're waiting for the big surge in prices, you'll never sell either. Sell when it suits you. There'll be buyers. Our region is continuing to grow in popularity.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for some truly independent advice, we work with Matt Knight and as a buyer's agent, and I'm going to get him back in here shortly because he's very much on the ground working with buyers across broad markets. And we had a conversation a little while ago about what we may think might happen, and I think we're still sort of on track around that conversation. But I think the thing is now is that I always, as we discuss internally in the office, what matters are the facts. The facts are right now is that stock across the country, but particularly in the regional areas, is low, which is driving demand. We now have this additional, call it COVID movement of people, and that is now genuine. It was anecdotal, but there are people now moving here. We obviously have a lot of stimulus coming into the industry. We have a lot of external stimulus. And certainly for the South Coast here, as you discussed, the Berry Bypass, the Bomaderry Extension, there's a huge amount. We've got a bridge getting built, another one. There's an awful lot that's heading towards Narrabeen.
Really, it's the crest of a wave here in the Shoalhaven. We could talk about this all day, I guess, Craig.
We could.
But onwards and upwards, local real estate has been really well performing over the last 12 months. Hopefully, even brighter days ahead for everybody, not just people looking to buy and sell real estate, but for our whole region.
Absolutely. And like the final word of advice is how we always finish these things. If you're uncertain, just give us a call, and we will give you our honest opinion based on the facts. You know, and it's not what we think might happen. It's what's actually going on, and we're transacting a couple of hundred properties a year. We're right at the coalface. And there's always someone here that can help you. And it doesn't matter whether you're buying through us or somebody else. We're always here to help, whether it be in the sales aspect of it or the property management. And we're happy to reach out anytime.
Always.
Well, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you.